These 5 products in the November release are 2 separate bundles. They're being sold as 2 separate bundles like this, but I wanted to show them together because they work together so well. So the first one I wanted to show you is the Happy Birthday Words stamps. This is a very similar feel to my Merry Trees that came out a few months ago. It was a standout favorite with a lot of crafty fans. So I wanted to create a stamp set that has a very similar look and feel to the Merry Trees products. So we've got the very thin outer lined kind of font for the large words, and then you have the dies that cut them out. So you could use them together or separately. And then we have a long, narrow strip to cut out the sub-sentiments or the continuations of the greeting. So you could have it say, time to celebrate your birthday, happy birthday wishes. You can pair them up to create a bunch of different greetings. So I'm going to show you card examples with that here in just a moment, but you could pair it with imagery from the banner and balloons, stamps, stencils, and dies. So I've got some dies that match all of the images in the stamp set, but I've also got a couple that will just cut them out on their own. If you'd like to create a banner out of cut cardstock, you could do that, or you could stamp the banner and cut it out with the individual banner shape, or you have the full banner that cuts out this entire banner stamp. You've also got the balloons and also the strings. Now, when I was designing these particular strings, the smaller ones right here are meant to go on the end of the banner. I'll show you an example of that here in a minute. And then these longer ones that have the trailing strings are to go on the bottom of the balloons, and you'll see that on the cards as well. All right, for the stencils, this has a lot of imagery in it, and I wanted to include 4 stencils so that you really can get bang for your buck. This first stencil matches up with the imagery in the stamp set. You've got all 3 balloons, and then I included 3 of the banners in case you chose like 3 colors and you want to just, move it around and just go between those 3. You won't have to necessarily clean your stencil to do so. The next stencil has patterns. So it's labeled balloon patterns, but really you could use the patterns on the banner as well. I'll show you an example of both of these with the patterns on the balloons or the patterns on the banner. The third stencil is a great way to color in this large banner shape with just one stencil. And you can start with the first row of the banner and then go to the second and to the third. So it's a really easy way to get a tri-colored banner and just move the stencil down to get all of those on there. And then the fourth stencil, I decided to just do a nice polka dot pattern. I think polka dots are great for birthday cards or any celebratory cards that you might have balloons or banners on. So I thought it just paired really well with the other stencils in the stencil set. So let's look at some cards made using all of these products. First up, I have a fun balloon card where I stenciled the balloon shapes without the stamped images. And then I stenciled some patterns on top as well. I paired it with the die cut birthday. I first stamped the birthday greeting and then die cut it using those dies. And I also stamped the time to celebrate your greeting and then used that narrow strip die to cut that out. Here's a great example of the balloons stamped and then blended using the stencils. I've got a striped pattern and a dot pattern. And then I used the word stamps and dies to create those words plus the greeting. For this third card example, I used the polka dot stencil for the background. And I also created this banner and ink blended each one of the different pendants or banner segments in a different color of ink. And then I've got those cut out letters from the stamps and dies. Here's an example of a banner using that stencil with the 3 rows of colors that you can move. So I just moved them down and did different colors of kind of a greenish aqua. Here's a banner that I stamped the banner outline first, and then I went back and just stamped this stamp right here to add color onto each one of these segments. That's another great way to get color on your banner really quick. For this last one, I did the 3 separate colors using that row of stencils. And then I went back and added some patterns from the pattern stencil. The balloons are super easy to stamp, ink blend on using the stencils, and then cut out the strings as well. These worked up super, super quick.